Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very latest CADS podcast. We're here tonight talking to Maddie, which is the latest in my series of talking to interesting people from Blue Sky. Yes, I still do not have a proper title for this yet, but we're getting closer. We're going to lock it down soon. So Maddie is someone that's actually recommended to me to talk to. I put out a little call a while ago and said, who do you think I should talk to? And I think Maddie was probably the fifth person that was suggested to me. And I'm like, do it. So I reached out. Maddie came back and said, yeah, let's do it. So here we are. We are now talking. Maddie, welcome to CADS.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I watched a few of these before, and every single person that you welcome in, they're like, I'm so excited to be here. And now I get it. I'm jittery all day. Kind of nervous.
Well, I mean, CADS stands for Come and Discuss Spurs. And as I was saying to you just a minute ago, my favorite thing in the world is talking Tottenham. I love talking about Tottenham. I could do it all day long. It used to be my job to sit and talk sports with people. Loved it. Fantastic. Kind of miss it. Would love to go back to doing that. If anyone's hiring, hey. But yeah, so just having this opportunity to talk to people from different parts of the world, different backgrounds, different stories, because I know my story as a Spurs fan is not typical. And I've talked to so many different people who everyone has a different reason why they're supporting Spurs, what's led them to where they are, whether it's family, whether it's particular players, whether they just got caught up in watching a game and just drawn in, you know. So I just love talking about it, and I just love to hear people's stories. So, Maddie, why do you watch Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, I am half Korean American, and it I feel like that was like a really frequently asked question on Twitter before I moved to Blue Sky. And it was always sunny. I Growing up where I grew up, which is a very, very small town, we didn't have any representation in like media or sports. And I remember thinking to myself, when I started watching, um, I was just so excited about him, and I was excited for him. And I loved seeing someone who looked like me or looked like my family. And there's also something, despite what a lot of jaded fans would tell you, just so magical about the sport in general. Like, I'm a football fan, but
Yeah.
I love Spurs, and I'm very loyal to Spurs now. I'm like in it for life. Like, they roped me in. Like, I could have just as easily chosen to only be a Sun fan or only pay attention to the Korean players in the league, but there was just something so charming to them about them. Like, to me, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt right. And when I was choosing which Premier League club to support, I was really determined not to be a bandwagoner. I didn't want to just jump into a camp where it was like, oh, they've won a bunch of trophies. And I love an underdog. And I don't know, I feel like they kind of chose me. They latched on and they're not letting go because I'm so emotionally invested. It's like, oh, we lose. Don't talk to me for a couple hours. And when
Give me
we
a minute. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, just give me a second, please. And so I don't know, it just feels so magical to me, and the club felt so magical, and seeing someone who looked like me felt so magical, and I just love them. I really do. And I am just like super grateful. I mean, like, I think Peter said this in his, is like, oh, I could have just as easily been a Man U fan because of Park Ji-sung,
Yeah.
who, I respect him and I know him, and
To be fair, he was not a bad player. Not a bad player at all.
well,
So,
Sir Alex
yeah.
has said that he is like one of the most underrated players that he's ever coached.
Yeah.
And I know lots of Korean Man U fans now that stayed after. It has a way of just pulling you in. And I was never really a big sports person before I started being interested. But yes, is the initial allure of Son, who is killing it, is amazing, powerful player. And then, obviously, like, I got to watch a little of Gareth Bale, and I really liked Christian Eriksen as well. And I liked watching Dele play as well. Like, you
You are
fall in
hitting
love.
all the right notes here. You're bringing out all the classic names that just make you go, fantastic. Love those guys. I mean, your story sounds very similar to mine in a way. You know, you had Sonny, I had Jurgen Klinsmann. We found out my family had German heritage, and then Jurgen Klinsmann joined Tottenham after the 1994 World Cup, where he'd been brilliant. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll sit down and watch one of his Tottenham games and see what Tottenham are like. And I was just like, yeah, just dragged in and pulled in. And I think there's something to coming to football later in life as a fan. I mean, I was what, 16 at the time.
Wow.
So, you know, had never had a club, never been a fan of a club. I'd watched football, I'd enjoyed football, I'd played a little bit of football, but I never had a club that I'd followed. And I came to it a little bit later than some people. You know, you've got people who have been fans for life because their father was a fan and their grandfather was a fan. We've got people on CADS who like a family lineage of going back into like almost the start of the club. You know, there's always been Spurs in my family type thing. I've not got that. There is no sports anything in my family, but I chose it. And I think because I chose it, it's just made me a little bit more rabid, a little bit more crazy of a Spurs fan. Um, and because of that, as I said, you know, I love talking about it. It's my favorite thing apart from my family. So, you know, as I said, I think you and I have similar stories. You came through with Sonny, I came through with Jurgen Klinsmann. So, you know, and both were in Jurgen Klinsmann's case and are in Sonny's fantastic players.
Just beautiful. I love
Yeah.
it. I feel like it's something that I'm grateful that I'm grateful for Blue Sky, honestly, because even when I disagree with people or we're talking about the club and people have different opinions, it's really nice to
Yeah.
have civil conversations with people about it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And then I watched that All or Nothing without, like I wasn't super emotionally invested, the Amazon series where they followed them. It was during a
I
Jose Mourinho.
remember it. Absolutely remember it. Yeah.
And I've watched all of them. I grew up in an American football family household. Like we grew up Philadelphia Eagles fans. Go Birds,
Okay.
always. Uh, but never any exposure to that. And also trying to watch any Premier League or lower league games in America didn't become like super, super accessible until I want to say like 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's
Hmm.
kind of expensive. We have to have a live TV package and then Paramount and Peacock. And the live TV package, like we have the Fubo TV package right now, and the cost is kind of crazy. It's like $100 a month. And so we cancel it in the summer unless there's
Yeah.
World Cup qualification stuff with like the Korean national team that I'd like to watch. But ultimately, we're like, okay, so for the months that the Premier League season is going, we pay for live TV package, Paramount and Peacock. And I'm like, why isn't everything just all in one spot? Please. With broadcasting rights.
Wouldn't that be nice? That's not the way that TV companies do it. They want us to spread our money around as much as we can. Keep us poor. That's what it is.
And that's why we
Yeah.
don't watch any MLS stuff, really. I mean, I have an MLS club that I enjoy watching and that I do root for and try to pay attention to, but Apple TV wants to charge like $120 or $100 per MLS season, and it starts at
Oh,
a different time than the rest of Europe. And it's just really interesting how they try to nickel and dime you. And obviously, like what we're spending per month during the season is nothing compared to like people who actually go to the games, and especially people who aren't based in London and have to travel in, like season ticket holders
yeah.
that have to do like heavy duty traveling just to go to a home game. It's, I
Like
understand.
Peter.
Yeah, Peter,
Like
I
Peter who
can't
was talking
believe
to
that
Luca.
he travels
This man's
from.
got a season ticket and lives in the US. That is commitment. I'm closer and I don't get to anywhere near those kind of matches. Good lad. So, yeah, seriously impressive.
When
So,
he sent me a beautiful jersey recently, and he was like, "Yeah, I
yeah.
live in New York." And then like 3 days later, after I learned he lives in New York and he's shipping me this jersey, he's in London going to a game, and I'm like, I thought he lived in London because I had seen him post pictures from the games, and then I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I still haven't
He
made
does
it.
some traveling. That man does some traveling to go and support his team. It's really good. So yeah, I'm jealous. I'll be honest, I'm jealous. I keep dreaming of the day of, if I ever have lots and lots of money, then I'll have a flat in London and a season ticket, and I'll just travel back and forth It'll be fine. My wife will be okay with it. I'm absolutely sure. She would
Oh
not.
yeah, I have that same thing. I think about, I was like, if I ever became a millionaire, no one would know, but there would be signs, and it would
There would
just,
be signs. Yeah.
yeah, there would be signs. I I feel like Spurs fans, I feel like the reason why there's so much tension and infighting between Spurs fans too is because everyone's so passionate. Like
Yeah.
every single person, like if that's your team, and same with any other, football team, you can be passionate about anything. I've just noticed that the passion is really intense with everyone.
Ramped up to 11 at the moment, certainly. When things aren't going so well, there's often fractures within the fan base, and some people go in one direction, some people go in another. Some people try and take the middle path. I try and stay like level-headed and calm and just try and sort out in my head what is working, what is not working, why isn't it working, and why is it working. And a lot of the time that does put me in conflict with some people. But like you, I found a group of people on Blue Sky, but also in the CADS forum, who are very welcoming of having different ideas on things. So, we've all known each other for what, over 10, 15 years now, and we're talking to each other on a regular basis. And they know that I'm like the hyper positive one. Like, literally, I was talking to David last night. He says, "I want to know the name of your copium dealer." It's like, yeah, I get it, because I am the king of copium. But it's good having people who you can talk about the game with, who will have different points of view, but you can actually have a conversation with. And I think that's where Twitter really went badly wrong for me, because it got to the point where not only could you not have conversations with fans of other clubs, which I had enjoyed doing previously, you can no longer have conversations with fans of your own club, because it just got so partisan. It was unbelievable. And I think Blue Sky is just like the perfect blend of, we're going to have our own point of view, and we're going to have a conversation, but we will remain respectful, and we will understand if you disagree with us. And I love that. That's great.
When I moved from Twitter to Blue Sky, I came into disagreements with people ready to be so defensive
Yeah.
because that's what would happen is like nothing that I would ever say could fly under the radar, like from a reply to someone or anything. And it just got really mean and racist and toxic. I feel like people overuse the word when describing what Twitter is now, but even I had started that Twitter account like a year ago,
Hmm.
and I grew following really quickly, mostly because I definitely always try to have positive opinions because I feel like harping on them only hurts you. It's,
Hmm.
the club isn't necessarily known for listening to their fans right now, and that's a whole other conversation. I feel like fans don't really have a voice right now, and I understand that that's frustrating. But just, I don't know, it just got so icky, and everything just seemed like it fell apart so quickly because it used to be so pleasant, and I would post something and I would post something funny, or I would be like, hey, we need to be more patient. And then I found myself being rude in my opinions or stating my opinions and preemptively being defensive.
Yeah.
And then I got on Blue Sky, and I got on Blue Sky fairly recently compared to a lot of people. And I was like, people would be like, I disagree. And I was like, oh my God, the person didn't call me a derogatory term, and I would be like, well, I disagree. And they're like, that's okay. And I was like,
What
what's going
the?
on? What do you mean?
That's
What
not
do you
the
mean?
way this social media is supposed to work. You're supposed to insult me, and then I flame back at you, and we do this for 4 or 5 things. Yeah, no, I agree. When I first changed from Twitter onto Blue Sky, I would find myself typing out answers furiously and then go, hang on a second, is that really what they were trying to say? And deleting it and having to take a breath and keep deleting, Stu. And I had to do it. It took me time. Everything, it will be fine. It will be okay. Take a breath. You'll cope. And yeah, and I did, and I got used to it. And you know, Blue Sky for me is almost a home away from home when it comes to being able to talk to football people, because you can have conversation with Spurs fans, and um, I remember a little while ago there was not so skinny Pete, who I've not had the chance to talk to yet, but if I do, I would love to. He has a different set of opinions to me, right? And we disagree on certain things. But he said something, and I said something, and then he said something, and I said, "Look, I'm not gonna make you change your mind. You're not gonna make me change my mind. So let's just move on to the next step." And he was like, "Yeah, sure, we're good with that." I was like, "I like this guy. This guy can come back." So yeah.
It's so interesting because, like, and every once in a while, people, especially after a brutal loss, you know,
Mm,
a whooping, people will say stuff, and I'll be like, I can't handle you right now, and then I'll just mute them for like a day, and then I'll go through my muted list, and I'll just unmute everyone after the 24 hours after a loss happens or people are up in arms about something, and that has been really great. The blocking
hmm
feature has been really great. I feel like that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for me with Twitter, was that when I blocked someone, they were still able to see everything. And then
Yeah.
people were able to make burner after burner after burner to harass. It's just interesting. And I don't necessarily like love playing the woman card, but existing in that space on Twitter as a woman definitely
hmm
not great, because a lot of people would write off my opinions because I was a woman, or be like, women shouldn't participate in these conversations. And then if it wasn't, well, you're a woman, it's, well, you're Korean, so you must only support Sun. And I'm like, would you want to scroll? Just have a scroll on my pages. I post about Sunny very little.
hmm
Of course, I respect him and I love him, and he's the reason why I love this team and part of the reason why I love the sport as a whole. But his form has dipped a little bit. He's very tired. He's known for playing with injuries, and I feel like he's just having a hard time. Do I think he's washed or anything? No, I just think that he's very tired and super overworked, and he's been overworked by every single coach that we have had, Ange included.
Yeah.
I love Ange. I
And
I
the Korean coaches.
love
Yeah.
I love
South Korean coach as well. Every single squad he could be involved in, he's played almost 90 minutes, even when we're like, can he just play half, please?
yeah. Could he play
So yeah.
4-5 even? I'd take that. But I don't. I kind of found myself never posting about him on Twitter because I would get jumped in the comments of people being like, all you ever post about is Sunny, and I'm like, well, I mean, like, he's the captain, and also coincidentally my
Kind of
favorite.
important.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
One of the best players at the club, if not the best player at the time. So yeah, certainly.
But it just, I don't know. And even I had something like that happen on Blue Sky, and I just was like, block. But it, it's I miss him, and I know we can win without him, and it's important that
Mm.
we can win without him. That's a huge thing that I've talked to a lot of people about, is that it's extremely important that we can win without him. And I mean, a lot of people, again, going back to his form is not great right now. People are the levels on the field, they are elevated when he is able to play and he's playing well.
Yeah.
When he's not playing well, he's still good. It's weird. It's very strange how he affects the way that we play. And a lot of that I feel like is due to his leadership as well. No disrespect to Matters. I think that he is, God bless his soul and his poor. Did he actually do his ACL? I have been like being kind of willfully ignorant because I don't want to
We
believe.
do not know. It's
Okay.
being talked about as a knee injury at the moment. I mean, the fact he walked off the pitch, I mean, I have done my ACL. The fact he walked off the pitch the way he did, I would say he hasn't done his ACL. When I did mine, I was carried off the pitch. So yeah,
Uh,
it's not a pleasant injury. Again, it depends on how bad you've done it. I mean, mine was a partial tear. Radu Dragic, when he did his earlier in the season, he was carried off the pitch. But I mean, he basically did the same thing as I did. I I blew mine and tried to continue playing. He blew his and tried to jump up and down on it. And you're like, don't do that, because
no, no, no.
as soon as I saw the way his knee went, I was like, he's just done his ACL, because I remember it. I was like, yeah, he's done.
I
Um,
haven't. I'm waiting for like very official news. I try not to
mm,
listen to or rumors or anything like that related to injuries. I just like I need to hear it from either Ange or like an official club statement before I start dooming and glooming.
Yeah.
But going back to the leadership thing, I just feel like, Sonny is much older. I mean, like James Madison's what, he's like 27. Romero is,
Yeah, 28 now, I think. Romero's 25, which is
yeah, and
ridiculously young for a central defender of his quality.
I just I don't know. I feel like they do a good enough job, but I just feel like Sonny's leadership is very important, and the way
Mm.
that people respect him and listen to him is super important. And it takes a lot to step up. And like Romero had been injured, and James Madison had been kind of in and out of it.
Constantly in and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continues to be by the looks of it as well. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I don't really mind when Vicario is the captain. That dude is crazy for us. I love him. I,
I
I like when
do
he
like
gets
Big
to wear
Vic.
the armband. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Big Vic's a good player. I think he's not been at top of his form recently. I mean, just to let everybody know, we're recording this in between the two Buddha Glimt games. So, yeah, we're still kind of hoping that we might qualify. We hopefully could qualify. Nothing is guaranteed. But he's had a few games where he's been a bit off and then a few games where he's been excellent. Luckily, the off ones have been in the league, which is no longer that important to us, and the excellent ones have been in Europe, which absolutely is important to us right now. So yeah, in terms of Sonny and his captaincy, it's kind of strange. People go, "Oh, but he's too quiet and he doesn't shout and he doesn't remonstrate." And I was like, "Okay." When you talk to people and say, "Who's the one of the best? Who are the best Tottenham captains of recent times that you can remember?" And they go, "Oh yeah, Ledley King." Ledley King didn't shout at people. Ledley King didn't get in people's faces. He was quiet. He did not remonstrate with people. He showed his leadership on the pitch by putting in performance after performance, and that's what Sonny does. Sonny is the guy who leads by example. He's not going to go and scream at someone. And I think
no.
often you get a more mature performance by having a more mature captain. So for me, I'm very happy with having Sonny as our captain. And I know he signed for another year. I hope he does. Part of me says, I hope he stays with us forever till the end of his career. The other part of me says, he's deserved the chance to do whatever that man wants to do in his football career. If he wants to say, right, I wish to stop playing for Tottenham now and I want to go to America or I want to go and set up my own club in South Korea, okay. He wants to go and do things, go and do it. You've absolutely earned the right to go and do whatever you like because he has never been a problem. He's never gone golfing with Gary Neville and started making statements about leaving the club, mentioning no names of any other people. But yeah, he's been fantastic, and he's one of those players who, even long after he has retired, I will still talk about him with glowing praise because I think he's just been fantastic. He's been one of our best players for what, nearly a decade, and consistently so.
I do think people take his loyalty for granted too. I mean,
Yeah,
is it, yeah, a decade of his career, prime years of his life that he is
yeah,
given. And I don't know. I feel like even just a couple of years ago, he could have gone anywhere he wanted.
yeah.
He could have gone anywhere he wanted. If someone he was like, I want to leave, who wants me? A million people would raise their hands and be like, we'll take you here. And I feel like he is truly just a loyal person, and that's why we've had the pleasure of having him for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm always just hard eyes emoji when I'll watch I think it was like last year on the Spurs channel, they were like every goal Sonny scored, and it's like 45 minutes long, and I'll sit through the
Of
whole thing
banger
and
after banger. There were some
give me
fantastic goals in there.
goosebumps every single time. I will,
Yeah.
curler from outside the box, top bins. Like he doesn't do that very often anymore, and I wish he would. But I will watch every single one and be like, yep, that's it.
I
I do
remember that one.
Bale comps too. I'll sit and watch a Gareth Bale comp for like 20 minutes because
Oh
he
yeah.
also is just so built different. He is so athletic. I was talking with my husband about his athleticism and how we haven't really seen someone who is that kind of just complete athlete. You
Hmm.
know, he wasn't missing anything. He was big, strong. He stayed upright. You know, when he was, I mean, I watch a lot of, not to mention any names or anything, but there's a certain player that's like 6'3", and I'm like, you have all this physicality, and every time someone touches you, you just fall down on the ground. I'm like, no, you are 6'3". Like, stand up. Use your
Well,
physicality to your advantage.
as someone who is 6'5", I can tell you if someone takes your ankles, you still go down pretty hard. So
Yeah. Yeah, you have a longer
yeah,
way to fall.
yeah, and
But
it hurts when you hit the ground as well because you're a bit heavier. So
oh, yeah, I'm 5'3", so you know I got that low center of gravity. You know, fall very far.
uh, see, you're the winger, I'm the centre back. That's the way.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I there are certain players that I speak with like about with a lot of admiration, and those are two that I'm
Mhm.
obsessed with. Probably blush a little
Two
bit.
players
You know.
who we could say are not bad, you know,
No, not
decent
bad.
players, just not bad. They've been okay. They did all right. Yeah, probably two of our best players over the last 20 years. But I mean, this is the thing at Spurs. We've always had periods where we've had one or two good players, and then under Pochettino, we got to the point where we had five or six or even seven good players. And like I was talking to someone just yesterday, and we were going through the side with Walker and Rose and Bale, and the players we had, and you go like, how did we not win anything with that group? How did we not win anything? We should absolutely have done something. It's crazy.
I mean, like I wouldn't say I'm like a spiritual person very much. I'm
Hmm.
kind of like I'm really superstitious. Like I have a whole ritual that I do that I've done every single Europa League match. There's a series of things that I do. I light a candle, I light some incense. I have an altar for my passed away grandpa. It's a picture of him and a candle with his name on it. And I offer him things. And then I have a prayer candle with Angie's face on it and I light it for everyone. And I will never, ever, like, as long as we are continuing on this run, which I feel like I'm kind of in the minority of people who I have like regular or justified concerns,
Hmm.
but I feel okay going with the lead. I mean, like 3 goals would have been great. Like going to where is it in Norway, the
Yep.
Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle. Yeah.
Um, Going to Bodo Glimt with a 3 goal lead would have been great, but and I understand that we'll probably be missing James Madison and Lucas Bergvall, which are huge impacts to our
Yeah.
play. I am delusional, and I think everything's gonna be fine. Um, it just feels different. I am superstitious. I look back during that specific era that you're talking about with Pochettino, and I'm like, how did we not win anything? How? And it's football is
Were
such a
you lighting the
love.
candles and setting the incense back then? That's the question.
No,
Maddie,
I
is it down
wasn't.
to you?
I
There we
wasn't.
go, Maddie. That's the
I'm
problem.
the difference.
I hope you're ready for Thursday.
Yes, I have everything. I have everything
Perfect.
prepared.
Okay.
I'm wearing the same outfit every single time. I don't touch the clothes every week. I fold them up and I put them in the corner and I'm like, these are the
Yeah.
clothes that I wore when we were winning. And you know, my stepdad was like that a lot when my family, like I said, was an American football family. Like when they were on a winning streak, he was like super, he's like, this is the same pen I wore in my front pocket of my shirt. I'm gonna put it exactly where, you know, and I definitely picked up some of those superstitions from him. But I don't feel bad about Thursday.
Good.
Will I start to feel bad tomorrow? And then like probably the day Thursday, I'll probably feel ill. But right now I
Hmm.
feel fine. And we're 48 hours out. Like, hey, you know, I think I just have I need it. Just like you need it. And I feel like if we can get through this leg, that we could we're gonna win a trophy finally.
I've been saying that since the start of the season. I just got the trophy wrong. I thought we were destined for the League Cup this year. It's like League Cup is ours. It's going to happen. And we got through to semi-finals. I told you everybody, League Cup's going to be ours. And then we went out, and I was like, damn it. So yeah, I I really think that the Europa League is a possibility. I think conceding, I've said this before already, so no one will be surprised if they're listening to this and they've heard it on other ones. I think conceding that goal actually probably helped us, because if we'd gone in with a 3 goal lead, then it might have been, oh, this is easy. We can slack off against this lot. Whereas the fact that they scored against us has just tightened things up just a little bit. Our players now know that they cannot go and make a mistake. They cannot go and go in half measures. It has to be full bore, has to be full blood. And that's what we need them to do, because we've seen players this season take it easy in matches when they expected to win. Ipswich, Crystal Palace, both of them were expected to win. The first game against AZ Alkmaar in the knockouts, like, that was supposed to be an easy game for us, and we lost it. Yeah, okay, right. And again, that kicked the players into a performance in the next match, and we got through. So for me, conceding that goal brought a little bit more realism back into the conversation. It's no longer, oh, we're 3 goals ahead, this is going to happen. It's now the players still need to work at it and they need to make it happen. And Bodo Glimt has got such a good record at home that they probably could have overturned a 3 goal record, a 3 goal advantage anyway. So now we need to go there and do a proper job, and I am confident we will. I'm confident. I haven't bought tickets for the final, but I'm confident we're going to be playing in it.
I I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree with me when I say this, but I do feel like in Europe specifically, I'm not talking about the
Mhm.
league, their ability to play under pressure has improved measurably.
Yeah,
I do feel like there's kind of a mentality problem. And I feel like that's part of the reason why they brought Ange in is a lot of his philosophy. If you've ever read there's like a couple of different books, autobiographies, not an autobiography, like biographies and things like that that he has written, or
yeah.
about his tactics as well. And I've kind of skimmed a couple of them just because I'm interested. But a lot of his philosophy is about mentality and not necessarily being unflexible in your mentality, but being consistent in your
Mhm.
mentality. And that's how things change over time is consistency. And I definitely think that Spurs are too nice. And I think that historically they have not wanted to play under pressure. And I think that's a mentality problem, is that maybe they've been babied too much or people haven't placed the right kind of pressure on them. I think that's part of the reason why I love him and I love Ange as a coach
Mhm.
is that it aligns with like I don't ever pretend to know more than a Premier League coach that has, is working at the highest level. Uh, but it definitely I read about what his philosophies are is like a lot of mental toughness that we've been missing,
Yeah.
I think. And I mean, I think a lot of people misinterpret things that he says, or even just based on his tone. I think he's allowed to stand up for himself. I think that he has gotten an unnecessary and like over the top amount of guff from journalists and the media. And I think that he's allowed to, snap back just a little bit. Um, but even in that interview where he was talking about Jed Spence has been with us under what, 3 different managers.
Yeah.
Conte being the most notable to just write him off and tell him that he has an attitude problem. And I feel like good coaching is meeting people where they are instead of forcing someone to come to you. And a good coach recognizes that someone is here, so he's going to go meet him here. And
Mhm.
so he is like, he went on a couple of loans. They're like, he has an attitude problem. We don't want him. Spurs didn't want him. And I feel like you have to approach that a certain way. And now he's a great player for us. He was given a chance. Ange wanted him to prove that he wanted to be here. He trained with everyone every day, the same every single day. And
Yeah.
Ange met him where he was. And I feel like that's obviously he's an amazing player and that's all credit to him. But when you have someone who is guiding you or being a leader, or coaching you, that person deserves credit too, because that person met you where you are currently. And I don't know. And people read that and they're like, oh, he bullied him. He bullied it. And I'm like, no, because he had been bullied in the past. I mean, Conte had not been good to him. Obviously, he made him feel unwanted and like he had an attitude problem. And so,
So the story I heard was Conte actually got on the phone and talked to Jed Spence and like convinced him to come to the club. And then in his first press conference, he wrote him off and said, "Oh, it's a club signing. It's not for me." And like, I mean, can you just imagine being Jed Spence hearing that? You've been on the phone with the manager or head coach, whatever you want to call him, and the guy's been saying, "Yeah, come to us and play." And then in the very next press conference, he's going, "Oh yeah, he's not going to play for me because he's a club signing." I'll tell you what, he's been a better club signing than Antonio Conte ever was. So yeah, oh, that man annoyed me. That man frustrated the hell out of me.
yeah, yep, I
Uh,
am not, an Antonio Conte hater. I just remember feeling, I, no matter what form Spurs are in, even in this terrible league position and the
mm,
football being so frustrating to watch, I still wake up and I still watch it. I never miss a match. I have
yeah,
not missed watching a match in, I think, 3 or 4 years now.
good
I,
on you. Well
you
done.
know, but I get up and I get excited because part of it is like, what team are we going to get today? Because there's like four different options. But during the Conte era, I remember not being excited, not wanting to wake up and go to my living room and watch, and not wanting to like really engage with it at all.
Yeah,
And then the way that he would just speak about, I mean, like he'd throw people under the bus in the media. I just did not think he was a very good fit for us.
definitely not.
No.
No, very much similar along the lines to Mourinho, who I equally did not appreciate. But the thing
Oh,
with Ange is, I will watch Ange's press conference. I try not to watch the post game ones because I don't. I'm personally of the opinion that someone goes through a hectic 90-minute or like 200-minute experience and you immediately put them in front of a camera and you expect to get like the best out of them. I think it's not going to happen all the time. You're going to end up with stuff that does not reflect well, particularly well on someone occasionally. And that has happened with Ange. But when he sits down in front of the media and he has a conversation with them, I look at it, I go, there is nobody I would rather have at my club heading him up because he's calm, he's level headed, he clearly thinks deeply about the game, and he's an adult. And you've gone from having Mourinho and Conte, who were like spoiled children, to having an adult in charge who says good, calm, measured things. Like when Richarlison came out about struggling with his mental health, and they were like, "Oh, what are you doing to help him?" And he was like, "Well, I'm not the person who needs to help him. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not someone who's got that experience to be able to help him. But what we can do is make sure that he's got access to the right people and support him while he talks to those people." And I was like, that's fantastic. My dad's a psychotherapist. My father's a psychotherapist. My mum's a counselor. And that is the perfect way to deal with it. That yes, I am not an expert, but there are experts and I will make sure that you get to see those people. And you're like, this guy is different class. And so when I watch him and like, even this week when we've had a miserable season, we had a miserable half season before that, I still look at this guy and I go, that's the guy I want leading my club. That is the man who should be in charge of Tottenham Hotspur because if he continues to work the way he has been and he continues to get backed, then he will take us to places we want to be.
I, you're preaching to the choir.
I
You're
thought I
preaching
might
to
be
the
going by
choir.
that t-shirt.
Yeah, when I was deciding what to wear today, I was like, oh, I should just wear a kit. And I thought about being cheeky and wearing one of my local kits instead, because the certain people are like, support your local. And I'm like, okay, well, I can. But I was like, I feel like the end shirt is appropriate for today. Um, and I will always support him as long as he's the manager of our club.
Yeah,
And I will support every person who wears the badge for us because they're not just playing for themselves, you know. They recognize that there are thousands of people who watch them every single game and that there are thousands of people who show up to the stadium to cheer them on and they
yeah,
appreciate it and they're playing for us. I mean, like that's what professional sports are. It's a spectator sport and they understand how much it means. I mean, that press conference with James Madison, he was so thoughtful. I saw him in a different light, to be honest, after seeing how thoughtful and calm, and he seemed kind of smart to me for the first time in that press conference. Him acknowledging how much he knows that it means and the kind of pressure that's being placed on them right now. And that's why I think I feel good about this next leg of the semifinal too, is I feel like everyone is in the right place mentally, even though the league is going. I mean, like, again, I'm not mad. It was a draw, but the Liverpool game was not fun to watch. Like,
No, it's not. I
I
would have much
watched it.
preferred if they played the team they played against Chelsea, but yeah, because they chopped and changed things a bit. Would have been much
Yeah,
nicer
over
to do
rotation
that.
is a problem. I mean, like, I'm not, it's just like, oh, I love every single thing that Ange does, and he's this infallible person who can never make a mistake or um is perfect in every way. Like,
Yeah,
most people think that I think Ange cultist is, I'm about as
I've been
close as it
accused of
comes.
that. There has
Huh?
been I've been accused of Ange cultism as well. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and no, I can acknowledge that he gets some of the rotations wrong, or we over rotate for the league, but also he hasn't been given the tools that he needs to rotate properly anyway.
yeah.
And
Agreed.
fixture congestion and all kinds of things, it feels like the media pylon also influences other people's opinions as well. So if the media is always painting Spurs in a bad light, then of course some of our own fans are going to develop, like, subconsciously develop negative opinions about Ange and look for someone to blame, which I don't necessarily think that it's all his fault. It's like
Hmm.
someone, I call my dad and I'm like, I need you to come change my tire. And then he shows up, but he doesn't have, a lift and a, what is it, with the tire iron. He doesn't have all of the things that he needs. And he's like, well, it's like, what are you supposed to do if you don't have the proper tools to do something? And that's just a
Find a
general,
way to make it work. Apparently,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's duct tape and glue. And I think this run in Europe has been amazing, all things considered. If you kind of zoom out, I'm definitely try to be a bigger picture person. I try to look forward, and I I saw someone on Twitter actually say, this part's gonna suck and it's gonna be really painful.
Yeah.
I internalized that, and I remind myself of that every single time I'm frustrated and I'm like, why isn't this working? And we tried win now with Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, and guess what? They couldn't do, because they couldn't win
Yeah.
now. Those are win now managers. Those are like, we need someone to come in and win something for us, and then they couldn't do it because the problem goes, in my opinion, a little deeper than just the manager. The wash and
Yeah.
is frustrating.
When the stadium was open, Mauricio Pochettino talked about the painful rebuild, and it's been talked about so often, so long. I think we're in the painful rebuild. The problem, I think, is some people don't have the stomach for the painful as it has been. And, I still see some green shoots out there. I look at some of these players and I go, that is going to be a fantastic player in the future. Odegaard, Berreval, Gray. You just look at those three and you say, that is the future of the club right there. You've got three young players who are going to grow up as players at Tottenham Hotspur, and they've got so much potential, so much within them that they could be. And I just look forward to seeing it happen. I look forward to seeing them grow at my club and be the players I think they can be in the future.
I mean, like, I'm inspired. I'm excited. And kind of going back to like negative attention in the media from Spurs. It's also kind of part of the reason why I don't listen to a lot of Spurs podcasts. The only Spurs pod I really listen to is Ian's podcast, Podnum Podspur,
Yeah.
because he kind of sifts through and condenses things. And there's so many Spurs podcasts, but also we've played like 2 matches per week for a long time. And I feel like it consumes a lot of my headspace anyway, because I'm engaging with people online, and
Mm.
I also like to form my own opinions about things. And I do like listening to other people's opinions who differ from mine. But it's also, I think about before I got online and before I started trying to engage with the Spurs fan base, and how I watched the game was different before that,
Yeah.
because you know, I didn't have outside influences telling me how to feel, or, you know, like I'm subconsciously absorbing information from other people, you know, who are talking about it. And so I just usually try to limit. I did listen to a lot of episodes of your podcast before, because
Thank you.
I wanted to learn the
You're
flow.
the one.
No. But also because I do feel like we agree on a lot of things and we align, and it's just interesting to me. And then I read. But other than that, I don't have enough time in the week to listen to like a bunch of Spurs podcasts, you
Yeah,
know?
Ian listens at like 1.5 times speed just to get through them all.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I've
No.
I've cut back massively on my podcast listening over the last year and a half, simply because just the volume of podcasts out there, and I realize I'm just adding to the problem. I'm sorry, everybody, I am part of the problem. But yeah,
Oh, yours
I
doesn't
think
count. You can yours
no,
is a
because
good
nobody
one.
listens to us. No, we try and stay happy and have a good time and try and talk about positive things and look for, okay, maybe there is a requirement for change, but let's see where that change can be made without completely disrupting everything around it. Because I think there seems to be a lot of demand for everything must change, everything must be changed so quickly, and you're like, you're just going back and starting the problems all over again. Yeah,
So
we're
we
going
have
through a painful rebuild, but how long do you want this to be?
it has to be a slow process. I mean, when people talk about like losing weight or
Yeah,
exercising, lifestyle changes are and slowly introduced over time. I think the same could be said like when you want to do a 180, you know, it has to be like little teeny tiny bits at a time. And that's just my
yeah.
opinion. And there are certain things that can change now, but ownership and other things are a much bigger problem that are much more nuanced and complicated than I think some people think. So, but
Ownership is an issue I think that will continue to raise its fairly ugly head for quite some time. I think you and I could have a very long conversation about some of the stuff that's just happened today. But I think we have talked for a long time. I've taken enough of your time, Maddie. I would be very happy to get you back sometime. We'll talk
yeah,
again and we can do this and we can have a nice little chat. Maybe next time we'll talk about fan groups and movements. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Maddie. It has been great. And thank you, Bill, the cat, by the way.
yes. Thank
Yes,
you for having us. Say bye, Bill.
you are very, very welcome. Bye, Bill, and bye to all of you. Thank you for joining us. And of course, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.